Hello everyone, one and all. Welcome to Unicorn Light Tarot. I sincerely hope everybody is doing well today, this evening, whenever it is that you click on to this video. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Today we are working with the beautiful Avalon. If you did not check out the video before, we channeled Merlin and I just loved working with Merlin, so I thought we would visit or bring in the enchanted Isle of Avalon today. So that's what we will be doing. Also, for all of you, we just uploaded a couple more in the Unicorn Therapy series. So if you haven't already, check those out. Their meditations, their healings, their activations. We did the sacral chakra and the solar plexus chakra. We just uploaded those. They are absolutely wonderful. I recommend that you listen to those too, particularly on your headphones, before you go to sleep. Well, whenever you want, but that would be the optimum time. We will be doing the heart chakra, the third eye chakra, and up to the crown chakra. Those will be filmed this weekend out to you first thing next week, which will complete our unicorn therapy. And also next week, I'm really excited. We are going to be doing a spell casting, healing, sending out energy, expelling energy from 2020 and bringing in abundance and beauty and best wishes for 2021. So we will be coming together. So that will be uploaded just before New Year's Day next week. So really just bringing in the abundance of 2021. So I urge you to click on that video when it comes in. And also do not forget that the Intuition and the Oracle course, the 5-part video course, has already been uploaded. It's wonderful, not just for Oracle readings, but for really checking in with your masculine and feminine tendencies, the beautiful working with your intuition and your heart. I urge you to watch each and every one of them because each one has some kind of different energy and activation for you, and they're all under 20 minutes. There's 5 of them. They're truly fun, so that's available for you. I took that out of the Unicorn School of Light and made that free for you guys too, trying to give you as much as we possibly can as we leave 2020. Really just pull in the energy of 2020. What have we learned? How have we been activated? How are we going to be using that energy in 2021? So that's why all this extra stuff is coming at you at the end of the year. So let's get right back into our Avalon here. So most of you have heard of Avalon already if you've not read the Myths of Avalon or the workings of King Arthur. Then we know that Avalon appears in Celtic folklore, and some people even say that it's Glastonbury, or it's, the historians have likened it to Glastonbury, but either way, it's a mystical island. It's an isle of enchantment, and it's a place where the dead would meet. So it's similar to the underworld in some ways, the Greek underworld. This mythical place symbolizes purity, abundance, and of course profound magic, which is governed by the wisdom of the divine feminine. So we'll be working with the energy of the divine feminine today. We've got our goddess tarot cards under here. So that'll be our main tarot today. It is said that that apples, the symbol of knowledge, grew all year round on this isle, and of course the famous Excalibur sword was forged in this Isle of Avalon. King Arthur was taken to Avalon too to recoup after being wounded in battle. And we shall take you there today for today's readings and messages, leaving it completely up to the Isle of Avalon to see what kind of energy we get today, or what kind of profound magic and energy and messages we get for you today coming into the end of 2020. Now, of course, all of these Whenever you will get these and click on them, for the most part, will be at the end of 2020, but they are timeless readings. So whenever you click on this reading, regardless of when it was uploaded, it will be relevant to you. So as always, we just ask for, let's take in a really big deep breath. We'll hold it for a second and expel the energy. The more aligned you are with your own intuition and grounding your energy into the ground here, the more akin you will be with these readings and have some kinship with them. If you need to go ahead and pause the video, as always, we will be here when you get back. Do whatever you need to do to make these readings work for you. As always, these readings are reflective, they're healing, they hopefully will give you support and wisdom, and they're set up for activation too with our healing candle, which has our beautiful healing oil and abundance oil in there, made under the full moon with the eclipse. So any way you want to see and use these readings is totally up to you. So we have pile 1 with the red feather, pile 2 with the yellow feather, and pile 3 for the turquoise feather. And all of the timestamps will be listed down below as always. So let's get into your readings. So my darlings, if you chose pile 1, the red feather, you are aware red is passion and beauty and can be love too. Definitely see it with passion, and let's not forget that we're setting this session up for profound healing too. So anything you want to release, you can let it go into the flame or bring the healing and abundance to you. So we have, of course, our forgotten, one second, our Wisdom of the Avalon oracle, obviously. And then we also have our beautiful goddess tarot cards here, and then we'll be working with numerology too. And then we also have to end with our unicorn, enchanted unicorn tarot that we'll be working, unicorn oracle that we'll be working with. So let's see, bringing in the energy of Avalon for you. That's wonderful to start off with. So you have both joy and burden here as your Avalon messages, joy and burden. So a little bit of seesawing backwards and forwards, 37 and 43. Let's see what we have here too. 4 of Pentacles and 8 of Staves. So the message that I'm getting for you, pile 1, very, very clearly is that you're being asked to step in to your power. Your power is there for you to fully step into your power. It's just a tweak in perception. You're also being asked not to let things necessarily wait for you. Now, let's be very clear about that, because we always say that, you know, if you have your energy in alignment, then everything comes to you. And that is absolutely true. But there's also aspects of self that we can put together, aspects of the ethereal that we can bring in and ground into our sensibility. And there's also actions that we can take to put ourselves out there in a way that brings in the abundance and puts us fully into alignment. You're being asked to do this now. Now, again, as we said at the beginning in the introduction, these are timeless messages, but they are in and around for everything that we've been through in the year 2020. As we have this theme at the end of the year, what we've learned, how it's integrated, how we will take this wisdom and integrate it fully into 2021 and really move through. We've had a lot of things to be dealing with, certainly in 2020. Nobody will deny that. But we've also had a lot of activations. We've had a lot of stuff going on, a lot of things to sort through. So we haven't had, excuse me, a lot of time to integrate everything fully and see how this new power and this new wisdom, once integrated, will really be in our lives, what it really means to us. And that's where you're at now, pile 1. You're coming to the end of all of this, where you can see how this meant this, this meant this, how we integrate it fully and move forward with discernment. is what you're being asked to do. You have everything at your grasp. Joy is, now again, there's nothing woo woo that we like to do here at Unicorn Light Tarot. We also like to have a framework of we can give you practical advice to achieve what it is that you want to achieve, but nothing woo woo about it. But you know, we do say that joy is a choice. It is a choice. You know, and to some degree, we do understand that for sure. But for people who have severe depression, and you know, we have to have everything apply and be applicable for everybody. And it's not fair to say, you know, just a switch, you know, just switch your perception and everything will be fine. If people could switch their perception and be just fine, then they would. This is about a layering of love, of true acceptance. And that has, in the collective, has been an absolute, particularly in the readings that I have been reading in the last couple of months. If you've been following me for a couple of months, this aspect of self-acceptance, even sort of moving through the idea of self-love, it's really self-acceptance. Accepting ourselves in our totality as we are now. Only when we do this are we even able to understand how it is possible to do a perception shift and then maybe see joy and acclimate to joy in every sense of the word at all times, instead of swinging backwards and forwards, waking up one day joyful and then you're triggered the next day and then you're back down again. So seeing yourself outside of the realm of the world and really laying down sort of the armor of the external world, whatever it is that's going on in the world right now. As we always say, you know, if you sitting with your heart with something, you're sitting with your mind. If you ask your mind a question, and you require an answer for it, your mind will always tell you something, generally 9 times out of 10, then your heart will. So your mind generally comes up with something that they want you, you know, something that's practical, sometimes grounded advice. They want to control the situation, but sometimes it can be steeped in fear. When you hit up your heart chakra, it connects to the universe. It connects very much to who you are in the ethereal, and it gives you a viewpoint that's ethereal, but also in the present moment, knowing that everything will be okay. And also sitting with the knowledge that everything might be outside of your control, but that's okay. You know, trying to control it gives you the anxiety. Trying to catch up with controlling everything exhausts you. So you're being asked to really step into this consciousness of self-awareness and accepting yourself, accepting self-acceptance on every level of who you are. And that comes to what you've achieved and who you are right now. Some of you, and again, these are always general readings, but some of you accept certain aspects of yourself, and then you know, other aspects of yourself are up for healing. You know, there's something wrong with me, I need to heal. If there's something that needs to be healed, there's something that needs to be fully integrated within the soul, if we feel as though there's something wrong and we actively go to heal it, we're saying to our subconscious that there's something wrong. If we come from the energy of that everything is right, yes, certain things in the real world have happened in our bodies and we wish to heal them. But if we accept everything that's gone on, we can absolutely assimilate the lessons, and then the physical aspect of what those lessons have taught us no longer mean anything to us and they dissipate. So you're being asked on a real euphoric level here to accept every level of who you are, everything about you and where you are right now. Some of you are living 1 foot here, 1 foot in the future, 1 foot in the past, trying to make sense of the past, but still going over certain aspects of certain things. And then some of you are also 1 foot in the future, where I do accept myself at a certain level right now, but I'll fully accept myself when I achieve X, Y, and Z, and when this happens and that happens. So you're being asked to sort of throw out the letter. That's what I keep getting. I'm not even sure that's actually a saying, but throw out the letter. Everything that you've written about yourself, throw it out. Accept yourself at every level in that moment, and then accept joy at a satisfactory level that you can achieve now with everything that you have. Instead of waiting for something to come in and then just saying, when my life is complete, my life will be complete when that comes in, or I'll have a better idea of my light right now when that comes in and this activates and I can move in that direction. Now, not being morbid or anything, but this is just an exercise we want you to look at. If you decided to step out of the world tomorrow, and which leaves you with the legacy of what you've achieved up until this day, up until this moment, how would you see your life? How would you vet your life? Could you look back and say, I've absolutely accepted every part of me. I was as wonderful as I possibly could be. I lived in joy. I accepted every moment of my life and I lived in joy in every moment of it. I was so grateful for every experience that I went through. Some of them were tough as hell, but I got through them, and I absolutely love my strength and who I am. And I love my body for showing me where energy was left and where I needed to really work through and release some energy that no longer served me. And I was able to do that and come into full healing because I accepted every aspect of myself. Would you be completely proud of every aspect of yourself and what you stood for if you departed this world tomorrow? Now, you won't, and that's fine. But some of you are still waiting either for the other shoe to drop or for something else to come in to complete you. Now, for some of you who are sitting there going, okay, yeah, we're just asking you to try this on. The ego will definitely come in and say, this is that true? Is that not true? That's fine. Your ego can say anything that you want, anything that it wants. We're definitely asking to move in, and you can move in with your ego and you can ask your mind what's going on. Your ego will tell you this, that, and the other. Absolutely be discerning. Sit with the feelings of your heart. That will tell you where there is true acceptance, where there's extra light that needs to be shined for you to accept the beautiful being that you are now. Absolutely. Now, for some of you, there's been an activation of this intense passion and this creativity that's coming in. And it's absolutely beautiful. And this energy is clearing out again. We don't want you to fall prey to this idea of having to go back and healing. The concept of healing is sort of old now. It's not really needed. You've done all the work. And sort of regroup over the understanding of healing. Again, for those of you who do want to heal certain aspects, full self-acceptance will bring you there rather than isolating, I need to heal this, I need to heal that. While you isolate what needs to be healed, you're actually splitting apart aspects of yourself. And it's in the not totalitarian, don't do that, in the totality of who you are. The totality of who you are, that's where the true healing comes in. So it's really about stepping into your full power in doing this. Now, for those of you who have been activated primarily with your passion and creativity, you're getting all these amazing ideas and these beautiful ideas. But when you sit down to work on them, they're falling short, or the energy isn't there quite to bring them into fruition. That's fine. You're not being asked to do that right now. We can assure you in 2021, by February, a lot of this stuff will be up and running for you. You're really being asked, and this is the time of the year to do it, you're really being asked to be 100%, 150% responsible for every aspect of your being right now. Now, it's totally fine to look back. I wouldn't spend too much time there. A lot of what you are feeling and a lot of you coming into your present moment, a lot of you coming into your true power will lie in the present moment. But if you do need to look back and release, you've done all the healing from your past, and go ahead and do that. But don't get caught up in any of the emotionality or he said, she said, or anything in between. Or in the ego aspects of they didn't see you, or they didn't value you, or they didn't. That's okay that they didn't. It didn't feel good and it wasn't okay in many ways, but it's okay because you know now that you'll never let that happen again. And if you keep going back over it and over it and over it, then of course it's happening time and time and time again. And what you're doing is just you're realigning with old energy. You don't need to do that anymore. You're being asked to step into a brand new energy, excuse me, that is absolutely available to you now once you accept every aspect and fragment of yourself. Now there are physical ways that you can do this. You can do a meditation where you bring back the fragments of, for some of you there's given your power away in many different ways. For those of you who have become a little bit inflexible, because the way in which you kept your power is that you remained inflexible and you try to control certain situations or certain things in your life out of protection. We totally understand why you did that, and for many of you it made it possible for you to move forward in that way, in the way in which you wanted to. So, no judgment there. But we're asking for that flexibility to come back in. We're asking for that momentum to come back in. That's why a lot of you are not really moving and being able to create upon this beautiful foundation of creativity and this passion that you have. Now, a lot of you could be coming up with a lot of anger from past too. I can't believe I put up with that. That's beautiful. That's wonderful. Hold on to that. Release it in a healthy way. Go out into the woods, scream it out. Whatever you need to do, release that rage. Release that anger. Pull it in and release it. Scream at the trees. They can take it. It's carbon dioxide. They'll take it in. They'll recycle it. That's a wonderful thing for you to do. Don't keep going over it, as we've said before, to reiterate. Don't keep going over it, though, so you keep reliving the old. Get it out. This is the creative energy that you will be working with in its purest form early next year to bring these new ideas to fruition. But right now, if you're you're frustrated, things aren't moving forward, this is what you can be doing. Releasing in a really healthy way. You'll teach others how to do this too. A lot of 2021 will be about embracing emotionality in this really fundamentally healthy, beautiful way and integrating that back into society, really understanding what vulnerability is, allowing vulnerability in, and working from the firm foundation that vulnerability can allow. So all of this is what you're going through is something that's going to bring you immense power. And we're not saying that from the ego stance, immense power, you will have what you want. It's the actual opposite. You'll be able to create the world that you want, not the world that you've been given, and then you're moving things around and shifting things to make it as good as you can be. You're creating your own world now. Just got this vision of sort of a castle in the sky. Now, a lot of you have been told that, your dreams were impossible, or that you were crazy for thinking this, or that you're a little bit out there, whatever it is, or the understanding that you got that from the world, from society, from whatever it is. This is your time to literally make your castle in the sky something that's real. You're able to do this. You're able to bring that right into your sense of creation from pure and total self-acceptance. Create that as your basis for foundation, for a firm foundation, and teach others how to do that. Even if you just stand in your power from doing that, and then create these beautiful, gorgeous, creative spikes that you'll be having and putting out all your creative projects next week. They will be based on your foundation of self-acceptance and moving your world, your ethereal world, finally into your actual world, and not dealing with this other crap that you've been dealing with and waiting for other people to come through and waiting for this to happen before this happens. You're going to be making things happen for yourself and working within the world again that you've been given. And you've done a really good job with that. You've done a really, really good job with it. In fact, many people could not have gone as far as you did. Now you're being asked to sort of strip that world away because it's no longer going to work for you, and have the world that you want at your fingertips at all times. And with the self-acceptance and that vulnerability, it's absolutely available to you. The feats that you will be hitting really early 2021 definitely February, March, April will be absolutely wonderful. So this is your firm foundation, your stepping stone for getting this. For getting this moving forward, for bringing all of that into fruition. Again, please don't go down the rabbit hole of things that you need to heal and things that there's nothing more for you to do. And the switch in perception, oh yeah, I want joy all day, every day. Well, if you could do that, we would do it all the time, right? What you're going to be doing specifically is the nuances of your emotionality. When your emotionality dips, you'll be able to dip into that itself, pull it back out, know how to do all of that through self-acceptance, and living within the moment that you're living in, but in a very specific way. So this is what's coming to you now. All of the gifts that you have now are a really firm foundation for what you do. But they're really going to be highlighted next year in a really, really extreme and beautiful way. The other thing that's happening for you too is there's a lot of trickster energy around you, pile one, which is really beautiful. Now, a lot of you have had a lot of people around you that have reacted to you your entire life. You know, they either love or hate you, or sometimes they're intimidated you, but you've had some really intense reactions, right? Sometimes you haven't even opened your mouth and it's happened. And for some of you, this has been quite disheartening, and you've dumbed down a lot of your power, which is totally understandable. Now you have a trickster energy to you. So the way in which you move in the world it's non-linear. You're all over this. You do that, you do that, you do that. You know, you'll put things out there and then you'll leave the room. Almost like a bomb letting it go off. And it's really not up to you insofar as, like, you know, the responsibility when the bomb goes, the sort of trickster bomb goes off, is everybody else in the room. There's a chance there to see how they've been triggered and get to the root of it. Now, if people are blaming you for it, they're missing the point. That's totally fine. They have every right to react any way that they want to. But you've been projected upon your entire life. But this is the time, pile one, where you get to realize why. It's the trickster energy in you. You might want to look that up. It's the trickster energy in you. Now, you've taken a lot of that trickster and the way in which people have treated you. You've taken that to heart because it's been extreme. And because it happens everywhere, you've not only dumbed down your power, but you've limited your view space just a little bit so you can live in the world, because it's just, you know, you're being asked to embrace the trickster energy and then let go of the results. You know, it's good to be responsible for everything that you do. That's totally fine. But your energy is not coming from a place of trying to upset people, of trying to hurt people in any way, shape, or form. Your energy always comes from trying to show the truth. Now, the way in which you show the truth might be a little left up. But that's okay. That truth is truth. It doesn't have to come in a pretty little wrapper. And when people open it up, all these hearts come out. You know, you're there to show it in the most extreme way sometimes. That's the trickster energy. So you're being asked to really come in to the trickster energy. Add that and integrate that back into your psyche of who it is that you are. And then in that way, the way in which people have treated you before makes sense, right? If it makes sense, then you don't need to react to it anymore. You don't need to be as hurt by it anymore. You can understand it. It's like the final piece of the puzzle, right? So, you know, the trickster energy doesn't do necessarily things for the sake of it. It does in a way. The trickster energy does do things for the sake of it, but it's not out of malice in any way, shape, or form. They just don't, they're there to shake things up. They're definitely to shake the shit out. You know, and not everybody likes that. So once you have the piece of the puzzle, and I hope that this makes sense to you, if this is resonating with you, this should provide a little bit of the piece of the puzzle, and then you can realize why people reacted to you that way, and then it shouldn't matter to you anymore why they reacted to you that way. And then the foundation of self-acceptance might be easier for you. When that plateau has been set, you set yourself right up into the burden, letting go of the burden of living in the world that has been created for you, pulling in that castle in the sky and really embracing the trickster that is you, and creating this new world that you want and living in it. And again, that's when you create all of these things that will be coming for you. The ideas have already started sparking. They may go in different directions. They may accumulate in different ways. That's totally fine. As long as you don't try to control them, if you can, really let the flexibility come in and around your creativity. In the past, you've tried to control it just a little bit. And in some ways, when you get into creative projects, that is the time where you don't control anything. But then you try to control how it goes out or what happens. There's always an element of control in it. We're asking, once this piece of the puzzle has been interjected, you will be able to use that passion once you release that anger. Now that you know why all of those people reacted to you like that, you should be able to release that anger, that rage that's been like, what the fuck, excuse my French. You should be able to release it and then integrate that rage as it moves out. It will stay and it will accumulate as passion, and that creativity that's coming up, just allow it to go in any way that it wants. That's the trickster energy. You think you're getting one thing, but you're actually getting this. So a lot of you have had these crazy lives, right? A lot of you could be writers or storytellers, and you have so many stories to tell. I urge you to tell them in any way that you want, because they are crazy stories, right? This is the reason why you're coming. You've always had that energy. We can't say that you're coming into it, but now you're coming into the knowledge of it. You're coming into, you probably already known or suspected, but now you're coming into the full power of it, and you're ready to wield that power in a way that can really, really work for both you and the world. So let's see what we have for numerology for you. Moderation, absolutely. As this new power is coming in, and you're creating this new vast earth for yourself, this new way of being for yourself. Moderation, absolutely. Now, for those of you who have realized you've had this power, you've never really necessarily named it per se, but you've suspected, or even if you've said, people have said you're this, that, and the other, trickster energy, you've been like, oh, okay, I could see that, but you're not working within it. We're urging you, this power has already been there, but it's been activated in a way that you're being asked to step into it now. And the way that you're asked to step into it, of course, is complete self-acceptance, vulnerability, and working from your heart chakra and your third eye chakra, which should be activating. If not, we can activate it. Let's send out some Reiki and some power to really activate your third eye chakra in a really beautiful way here. Sending out some energy there, clearing out some energy. Archangel Michael's coming into clearing out the energy. And of course, clearing out your third eye energy. And of course, we're working with Avalon. So this is creative, beautiful energy of divine wisdom, divine light, and obviously the supreme divine feminine coming in. So as this energy is coming in and around you, yes, this energy is very powerful. Wield it with, that's why we're asking you to settle in to your self-acceptance. You will be able to heal. You'll be able to do, all of your gifts are really being available to you now. We're asking for you because, a lot of you, again, this is a general reading, but a lot of you are all or nothing. Now, from Scorpio energy, for me, I can tell you I understand that 150%. Now, sometimes I'm really easygoing about things, but generally speaking, most people who know me know that I'm all or nothing. So I can speak to this right now with personal clarity, totally understand when you're 100% behind something, you're almost obsessive. You've got this to a T. You've got this, this, nothing's going to stop you, right? So we're asking for this moderation as this energy comes in and you're activated with this energy, not just the knowledge of it, but the full-blown activation of this energy. It's gonna feel like a lot, not overwhelming. You can handle it. You've done everything that you need to do to handle it. But the best way to move forward is softly, softly, softly. And keep moderation in tow as you move through. Keep the humility with you. You have humility. You're grounded. You're beautiful. And you have the most purest of hearts, which is why you have this gift. You have the purest of hearts. You know that you want everything. Everything that you do is in service. Everything that you do is for everybody else, to the extreme sometimes where you've been left out of the equation. Asking you again, self-acceptance, to bring yourself back into that equation. No longer work with what you've been given. Pull in your version of what you want. Secure yourself in who you are. and then create this life that you want yourself. So gently, gently does it as you're working with this trickster energy. It's important that you find out as much as you can, should you, if you're feeling like you want to and this is resonating with you. But keep in the moderation and come back to your heart chakra and your third eye chakra, the two chakras that you'll be working independently with and be very intimate with as you move through into this energy and you move into next year, which again is going to be absolutely sublime for you. Let's get the enchanted unicorn oracle for you here. Dragonfly, everything is going to be fine. Absolutely. For those of you who have had a lot of ups and downs, again, 1 foot in this world that you've been given and 1 foot in the world that you're trying to create. This is the world that you can create now. There was a divine timing aspect to it. And also with the power that you have, there was a divine timing for you coming into your full blown power, as it were. But it's there for you now. It's absolutely there for you now. And this is for those of you who are like, I kind of know that I have it, but I'm a little bit intimidated. This is not something that you were born with. This is something that, I mean, you were born with it, but this is something that you've been cultivating, this trickster energy, for many, many generations, many, many lifetimes. It also goes throughout your lifetime, throughout your bloodline. You might want to look at certainly the matriarchal, but maybe even the patriarchal, but the matriarchal line of your bloodline anyway, not the patriarchy. You will find when you look back and you're like, is this really in my bloodline? You might be able to see some trickles of recognition there now that you know. But everything is going to be fine. I know with the ups and the downs and with the extremes and trying to work with what you've been given with this very practical sense, but also working with the ethereal level and wanting to work in the ethereal level all the time. Also not being fully present in your body, needing to ground yourself, not really wanting to be part of this world. All of those things should dissipate. Those feelings should dissipate now once you have that foundation for yourself. Please work on activating. It's activated, but it's activated even before the session. We're just pulling it open even more. But definitely work with your heart and your third eye chakra, specifically with the trickster energy. Spider energy is wonderful energy, especially for you. You've got the trickster energy there in the native traditions, and then you've also got the creative element there. So work with spider energy if you feel called to. Solar, a safe and happy home, absolutely. And that really equates to not just your home, but your surroundings on Earth, your actual home that you make within your divine body. That's what you're doing now. So create that self-acceptance. And again, self-love only comes from self-acceptance. So self-love, there's been a lot of debate about, is self-love, do we really need it? Let's say that we don't really need it. If we have self-acceptance at its purest form, self-love is just, it's an emblem of knowing who you are and accepting everything about yourself. So it comes about as a natural byproduct of it, right? So you've got everything that you need. Activation and healing is available to you. That last part of the jigsaw puzzle is there for you, should you decide if this resonates with you. So do let me know if this resonated with you. This was a powerful reading, a beautiful reading. Let me know. Feel free to give me a thumbs up and let me know in the comments below, or you trickster energy folks out there, if this resonated with you. And of course, subscribe and hit that bell icon. Come be a member of we're not a member, just come hang with us. Member, so formal. It reminds me of church. We're definitely not a church. Come hang out with us at the Unicorn School of Light down below if you want to take some courses. And also we have a free course, or come hang out with us at Unicorn Light Tarot and hit that bell icon. We've got lots of different things going on, as I said at the beginning of the intro, with meditations. We're also, don't forget to hit that bell icon so you'll be notified when I upload. We're going to be doing a spell work, healing, cleansing, bringing in beautiful essences for 2021, so you don't want to miss that. That will be happening next week. So So much love and light to you, Pal One. So excited for you. Stay safe and sane. And until we meet again, bye bye. Hello, lovelies. Welcome to pile 2. If you chose the yellow feather of communication, this is your reading from the realm of the Avalon realm. We had a wonderful reading for pile 1, and we brought in the Reiki wand for any activation and healing. So I'm going to keep this for you here for all you pile 2ers out there. So let's just get right into your messages. So of course we have to start with the Wisdom of Avalon deck and then go from there. We've got a little red here left over from little extra passion there for you. So we have the cat, independence, healthy boundaries, and the dragon, power and strength. Absolutely wonderful, pile 2. Wonderful, pile 2. So the first message that we're getting here is that so much work that you have done to really secure who it is that you want and who it is that you want to be, and pulling that in and seeing that as the ideal version of yourself, really setting down those boundaries and knowing where to put your energy, when to pull it back, when to expel energy. You have a very, very different energy from pile 1. But as always, because we're working with collective energy, and as we work with collective energies, there's certain things that come up. So of course, especially in the last, I feel as though the last couple of months, I'm not surprised that there's a thread throughout, pile 1 and 2 and 3 that we do here. So it's the same in which there is a pile, same in which there is the same kind of action insofar as pile 1 coming into oneself, really understanding where you begin and somebody else starts, and that sort of thing. Really negotiating for you, pile 2, is about what you put your energy to. And where you display your energy, and not letting, not letting the outside world affect you. Really understanding that people's reactions are a pure reflection of what they are triggered by. Now, we know this on a very, very direct level, right? But it's very difficult not to get involved. Sometimes it's very difficult not to get triggered yourself. Sometimes it's very difficult to not take it personally, because we are human, right? But this is something that you've been doing. You've really been understanding the power in your own source, the grounded power in who you are, and it's absolutely exquisite. So you know when to step up, you know when to let people have their say. You no longer are needing to be seen by the other person. And this has created a huge amount of freedom for you, but not in the usual way that we see. Now, when we're not taken in by other people's emotions, and we're not on this emotional roller coaster of other people trying to infiltrate how we see and how we live, obviously there's a certain amount of freedom to that. That sounds wonderful, right? And now this is something that you've done, but you've taken it one step further by grounding in to your own emotions, by grounding into who it is that you know that you are, no longer needing to be understood by others, and understanding that if somebody doesn't understand you, it just means that you can't be understood by them. They don't understand themselves, and really understanding where the strength lies and when to rise up and show your energy and when to pull it back. For you, pile 2, you've not always known that. So, these are general readings, but if you've found yourself, now it's difficult to gauge. Now this is a timeless reading, but it is coming at the end of 2020. So we are going to talk about that. It's been difficult to gauge people's understanding of how their energy is working, because there's so much going on in the world. There's so much activation, there's so much going on, there's so many shifts, there's anger, there's a lot of the old seeping up and seeping out, all of these old wounds and sores. It seems very chaotic. It is very chaotic, right? Now this is the way we heal. We need to be able to see them in order to have them heal. it's not a very nice process, but unfortunately we need to go through that. And within that process, we can get dragged in one way or another. Sometimes we choose to get dragged into it so we can figure this out on a real, ethereal level, on a real level that means something to us. And sometimes we just get pulled in unknowingly and our energy goes a certain way. But either way, it's been a tough year. So when I say to you, when we say to you, it's been kind of an exhaustive year, it's been difficult to figure out, like, if that's the external world or if this is really going on with just your energy. But for Pile 2, a lot of this is where you put your energy. You have this power, you have this passion, you have this dragon energy. A lot of you will probably, if you're resonating with this reading, you will feel the dragon energy around you, probably have worked with dragon energy, or at least have some kind of link with it, some kind of beauty to it, some kind of attraction to dragon energy. And because, not that you're lashing out, but because you're out there and your energy's been pulled, this, that, and the other, it's been expelled from you in a way that you felt really exhausted this year. And even when you were up, it can be difficult for you to keep that up and stay within that energy. And it's a matter here of really grounding into your own particular energy and how it works, how your unique blueprint works in this lifetime, and how all the collective energy is working within you, or how you are putting up your boundaries with the collective energy. Now, before, you were very open, huge empaths, very sensitive, big with emotionality, absolutely wonderful. But it came in and overwhelmed you at certain times. And then there's other times it didn't come in and you shut it down. And in order to shut yourself down, which we totally understand, we all feel like we need to be protected. But there were certain aspects of your life that felt numb to that connection, because, in order to shut down, to protect, we numb ourselves. Unfortunately, when we shut ourselves down to protect ourselves, we shut ourselves down from the good things too. That's just the way it works. But sometimes we make these choices, whether our subconscious or our conscious minds, or a little bit of both, make these choices. Sometimes we choose to shut down in order to protect, and that's where we're at. And there were times where you needed to do that, and it was the right time for you to do that. It was the better thing for you to do, absolutely. Now you're being asked to really diverse your energy and how you work with it. Now you've really grounded into your energy. You know who you are. You have these boundaries and this independence from the collective. You can pull in the beauty of the collective as you did before, but now you can use your boundaries to allow this sort of not let what doesn't serve you permeate into your world anymore. This provides you with a vast amount of freedom, and with that freedom you have this new energy, you have this new sense of passion. You've always had this passion. Sometimes you've used it against yourself a little bit, and sometimes it's been so much it sort of overwhelms you, and then it sort of takes over what you're doing, which in and itself is kind of a wonderful thing. But if it doesn't take off in the way that you want, you get frustrated. There's so much action, so much moving, and why isn't it taking off? With this much energy behind it, it should take off. And we totally agree with you. And that's because the other components weren't really in its place yet. So you're now able to sort of break down a lot of those walls, which is really gorgeous. You're able to break down these beautiful walls. You're able to really see who it is that you are in your complete totality. And you're also able to see how you worked with other energy in the world and how it changed you. And, you have this really complex way about you, because you're not afraid to pull everything apart and start again, which is really fearless. But at the same time, you've worked with fear your entire life. You really sort of, at times, now this could be a general part. If this part of the reading doesn't work for you, that's fine. That's great. Just move on in, or just move through it. But you've really identified with fear. You've kind of gone into the middle of fear and really attached yourself to it to see how it works. And in that way, you're very fearless. But at the same time, you and fear have become so close, such a kindred spirit at some point, that it's a lot of you have walked along your path parallel to fear. Now this is coming in for you, this healthy magic, this beautiful magic, figuring out your boundaries, figuring out like how you reacted to certain situations, how you held yourself, how you lost yourself, pulling your power back. What you can do is you can take down those borders, those boundaries now, and you don't need to protect yourself in the way that you did before. And to reiterate, it was perfectly fine for you to do that. In fact, we encouraged it because you had to protect yourself at that time. That's the only way that you knew how. There was nothing wrong with that. And it was actually a gorgeous way for you to do it. And you've always done things a little bit outside of the box. Now, not everybody will understand the way in which you've healed. You do things outside of the box, and maybe not the way that other people will do it, but in that way you're fearless. So that's totally fine. But now that these walls are coming down, that did protect you, and again you needed that, but now those walls are coming down. There's an immense amount of freedom that's coming in for you, that the way in which you connect to the exterior world with this authority, with this independence, with this sense of boundaries, with the sense of I'm not doing this, I'm not putting up with this, but I'm not going down this road of trying to prove to you or trying to let you know why I'm not putting up with it. I'm cutting you out. I'm cutting you off. I'm done. It's this real power, and it's taking it back, and it's giving you this freedom. I'm getting like these goosebumps as I'm talking about it. You have this incredible strength and beauty, and it doesn't matter if anybody comes after you or comes at you in any way. It won't make a difference, because all they're doing is fighting against themselves, because you've taken yourself out of the equation. Now, to a certain extent, you weren't able to do that before. You were able to certainly protect your energy to a certain degree, but your energy still got involved, still like had to break it down, figure out how to fight it, figure out what to do in an essence, so you could figure out and get to the bottom, to the crux of what was going on. Maybe so you would recognize this energy and never be able to have to deal with it again in this way. And again, we don't want to say whether that was right or wrong. That's the way you did it. And there was a lot of beauty in doing it that way, because you do have that wisdom and you do have that knowledge. But now you have that power to step the F back and go, done, not doing it. Absolutely not. You fight against yourself. That's you. That's you. This is me. And ironically, because you've set yourself apart from that, you're more connected to the universe. You're more connected to the collective consciousness in this sort of freedom-bound way than you were before, which allows in a huge amount of healing that you've already done, but really setting the sights here for doing what you want to do in the world on your own terms. There was always an essence of somebody else's terms before, right? Because you let everybody, you let everybody else's version in, this, that, and the other. And some of that is because you want everybody to be okay. And that's, again, totally reasonable. You have a great heart. You have a very human, beautiful, open heart. You're also, the other person is, I wouldn't mess with you in any way, shape, or form. It may take you a while to anger some of you. You may be quick to anger, but you're for most of you, you're slow to actually act on it, because you know that when you do, it's done, right? But at the same time, I'll say this about you, Paul, too. If that situation is done and yet something improves about that situation, you are willing to give a second chance. You're not, once you're done, you're done. You're absolutely done. When you've gotten to that point. But you are willing to pull energy back. You are willing to do that. You are willing to see people from other people's points of view if their point of view has shifted because they've worked on themselves. And that's something that's sort of rare, and it's really beautiful. And you've allowed yourself this reflection, doing this for yourself. And you've come up with a whole measure of who you are. And it's very, very, very powerful. Let's see. We haven't even got into your tarot yet. Look at what's coming up for you, Paul, too. So yeah, we've got the Five of Cups coming out. This brand new sense of power here. I'm also going to turn this over here. Yes, teaching and learning. And that's the other thing that I wanted to say too. Everything that you've been through, it's because you can help other people do it. as you break absolutely everything down and get to the crux of everything, you really have learned everything you needed to learn. And the other side of that is that some aspects of your life you sort of lived almost as if you're at school. I've said this before with other readings. Sometimes, with a personality type, it's as if you're being tested on it in a way. But if you decide that you're not interested in the subject matter, you won't even bother with it. But at the same time, there's this new freedom coming in for you. Definitely with the Five of Cups reversed, you are absolutely moving into this new sense of self where there's no censorship on your part. Now, before you had this passion, you had this power, it always resided within you, but then the truth would come out in these very extreme ways sometimes, and they'd either frighten people, and yes, sometimes they needed to hear it, absolutely. But there was no time. You didn't read the situation. You were sort of like a little bit of a bull in a china shop. Now, there's nothing wrong with that, and in many ways it was sort of a beautiful thing for you to be able to do it that way. But you also learned that there's a vast amount of tact that exists within you, and this is something that you've tapped into in a way that also allows you or paves the way for a lot more freedom. So you've come into the sort of out of this lack, this surviving understanding of self, and gone into this really beautiful, thriving sense of self. No longer anything to prove. The walls are down. You're connected to the collective and your intuition in this really, really healthy way. You really understand who you are and what motivates other people. You really, I don't really like the word matrix. I don't think there's anything intrinsically wrong with it, and I think it does exist, but maybe it's been overused. But we're going to use the word matrix because it's just easy. A lot of people are familiar with the concept of it. You can really see the familiarity of the matrix now. You really see it for what it is when people lash out, and people's motives. You could walk into a room and stand next to a person without them saying anything. You can really highlight their motives and where they're coming from. And when people sort of speak to you or interact with you, people have different kind of motives, and not all motives are gracious, not all motives are of love and light, and that's okay. That's okay. There's a lot of different people on Earth, and Earth is absolutely a free will zone, and we love it that way, So, but these are the people before who may have either intimidated you because, you didn't know how to handle it, or for most of you, you did know how to handle it, and if you did, you'd blow up. You were more afraid of your own reaction and your own power to it versus being afraid of the other person. But now you're coming into this reclaiming of your power and coming into the thriving aspect. And now you can see that you have this, the way in which you use your emotionality has a profound effect on not only your own life, but everybody around you. And you have so much power that you can say nothing and still do so much. There's very little that you have to say to get your point across. And for many of you, you've spent a lot of time trying to explain yourself or doing the opposite. You've done either one or the other, over explaining yourself in your head, but not really explaining it to the other person, which is totally fine. Totally understand that. The other person probably wouldn't have been ready to hear it anyway, but you needed to hear it. You needed it explained to you. You needed to break it down, pull it apart, see what happened so it didn't happen again. So you're coming out of this real sort of reflectionary period. That's yielded you great results, a lot of gems, a lot of jewels that you can physically feel in your own energy. And this is something that you will be able to teach. And you will, even if you don't want to be a physical teacher in this world, just by being responsible for your own energy, just by working and owning and being responsible for all the work that you've done within yourself, and watching it integrate as you steadily increase your power is enough. There's so much. I hear people every day saying, I want to change the world, I want to do this, and it's all admirable and it's absolutely wonderful. And the one thing that I will say is something that you've absolutely learned, pal, too. The best thing you can do is change the world, is to change yourself. Be responsible for your own energy. Work all of that stuff out within yourself and hold that light within you. You do significant amount of work just doing that and holding that space, and then on top of that moving out and bringing that light into the world. That's a whole nother level, but just doing it on that level does far more than you will ever know. And this is something that you've realized. You pulled that energy back, you pulled that power back, you've integrated it, you know who you are, and you can see others for who they are. And it's okay. You're not coming from a judgmental aspect when you're saying that energy is not for me. That energy is not for me. In fact, pal two, it's almost like you've been afraid of being judgmental. You don't want to be judgmental. You've gone so far out of your way not to be judgmental that you sort of, that's where the boundaries came up, and that's where you sort of were able to, or you caused yourself to shut down. But actually you weren't judging. Calling people out and seeing people as they are is not judging. Taking it one step further is judging. And you put that judgment back on yourself. The only person you ever really judged is yourself. You really do accept people for what they are, but it's okay to call people out and say, this is not okay, and I'm done, I'm out, I'm done. This is not okay. You're not being a good person. You could be a good person. You have it in you to do it, but you're not doing it right now. And that's totally fine. And this is where you're getting your power. That's how you're pulling it back, So this is a great thing for you, because from this stable foundation, there's nothing you can't do. So that is incredibly powerful for you. And also what it does by creating this power and creating this very firm foundation, very much like firm foundation we talked about in pile one, very different energy though, very different, like chalk and cheese. But by really separating yourself, again, you have that paradoxical kind of outlook. You're more connected to the universe. You're more connected to your own beauty and your own sense of strength. Absolutely. More than you've ever done before. And by having this strong, firm foundation, you can live spherically, as we always say, instead of linear as you moved before. I'll do A, I'll move on to B, I'll do this, I'll do that. Now what's going on is that you can move spherically. You have this flexible freedom, and you can see and live in every different direction that you want. And even if you don't physically take on the notion of being a teacher, you will be, by standing in the energy the way in which you are and claiming everything. Wait, no, I said reclaiming at the beginning. I'm going to take that back. By claiming, not reclaiming, you've done all of that. It's already you. By claiming and stepping into this energy and this power, just by being you, that tower of light, you give permission to be, give permission to others to be who they are too. So there's nothing that you can't do as you're coming into this energy and securing this foundation in a brand new way. So let's see what else we have. Divinity, yes, balance the physical and the spiritual. That's exactly what you're doing. And now it's going to be of the greatest of ease for you to be able to do this, to be able to, you won't have to. Before, you were trying this duality, balancing this, balancing that, and sometimes at the cost of your own protection. Now you just don't need to, it naturally falls into the place, the masculine, divine masculine and feminine falling into place. It's this place of ease and beauty for you. And from that power, you're not as exhausted trying to balance everything. You have this new found passion that was already always within you. You can use that passion to push it out, expel it, and put it out into the world and see what comes back to you in the greatest ways. So let's see what we have here too. One more love spell, attract a lover. Yes, absolutely. Anything is available for you now. There is a collective energy around you where you're drawing in the magic of the collective and drawing in a lover to you if you haven't already got one. If you are already in a relationship that you're happy with, this is definitely going to be a relationship that really, that notches up in many different ways. So all this power is coming to you. If you haven't already worked with dragon energy, I think we just did it in the solar plexus meditation. Feel free to go ahead and click into that if you feel If you feel like you want to, always go with your intuition. Solar plexus, obviously, it's in the title. So yes, dragon energy working with the solar plexus. But the solar plexus is the I am. Your will is there, putting out, really, your ego can live there too. But you're beyond the ego now. You've been, if anything, you really pulled apart the ego to see where it goes, and all of this knowledge that you have. I mean, you could absolutely write a book on this. And for those of you who are creative types or already thought about this, you absolutely can. One title that came to me yesterday is like it's reconstructing the divine feminine, reconstructing fear. Anything that's reconstructing in the title, you, pile 2, are absolutely apt to be able to do that. So everything that you've been through, finally you can see on the other side of it. I get it now. I absolutely get it. This is beautiful, and it's this pure freedom that you've and this pure sense of connectivity that you've not had before. And it's, please revel in that as you move on to do whatever it is that you want to do. This is almost a little bit of a holding space as you move forward. Let's do the power symbol for you here too, and send you some extra power coming to you. Absolutely, pile 2. There's nothing you need to do. You've already done it. This is it. If you're still resonating, if you're resonating with this pile, we always say you might be at different levels. If you're coming into this energy, this is all ready for you. This is already happening. There's nothing you need to do. If you've already been through this and you're feeling the elation of having that new sense of foundation and freedom, enjoy it. Sit with it. There's any way that you can go. There's a myriad of different ways. Your life will take off. We would urge you just to sit with this energy now and just see where it takes you. Absolutely beautiful. So I hope this gave you some inspiration and felt right and sat with you in the best of ways, pile 2. And if it resonated, feel free to give me a thumbs up. Let me know in the comments. I love hearing from you guys. And of course, if you're not part of the Unicorn Light Tarot family, go ahead and click that bell icon and subscribe. We would love to have you. And that way, if you hit the bell icon, we're probably gonna call in Merlin, because Merlin, Avalon, as you can tell, I'm quite taken at the moment, but we're gonna do a love attraction spell, bringing in love, expelling all the old negativity from 2020, and bringing in love and abundance and attraction, everything we need for 2021. So that's going to be heading your way next week. So you'll definitely want to be notified for that. So go ahead and click that button. And do not forget, we have meditations. We've got all sorts of things in the links below. Unicorn School of Light, so many other ways to get support and love. We're sending so much love and light to you, pile 2. Until we meet again, you stay safe and sane and enjoy this newfound power. You have worked your arse off to get here, so you deserve every moment of peace that you're coming into. Stay safe and sane until we meet again. Hello, my lovelies. So welcome to your pile 3, last but not least. As in, we got some wild messages for pile 1 and 2. So let's see what we get for you. Checking in and working with the energy of Avalon today. So for pile 1 and 2, we did some healing / activation stuff. So we pulled in the wand here for you to get that same healing also. So if you picked the turquoise, beautiful, I was going to say feather, then this is your reading. We will start off with, of course, the wisdom of the Avalon Oracle, but then we have Goddess Tarot and some other things for you. So let's start off with disruption and the novice here. Innocence, beginner, ignorance, new skill without practice, unstable curiosity. Okay, so the first message that we're getting for you here, pile 3, is to there's an essence of what it is that we know. As you know, regardless of this reading being timeless, we are working with the end of 2020, and we are working with the collective energies that are going on right now. So of course that's going to be part of the reading. And there's so many things that have been revealed to us in 2020, so many things that have been brought to our attention, so many things that have been brought to the surface. Not all of them are necessarily great, but now we can see everything, we can work through it and see it for what it is. And again, as we said before, on the outskirts it looks like chaos. To a certain extent it is, but there is beauty within that, there is wisdom within there. Now, coming into yourself and grounding into your own power is definitely the theme pretty much for the last couple of months, and now it's certainly possible, and it's definitely the theme of this reading. And for you, it's about this ideology of what we have in society, what is deemed quote unquote correct or incorrect, or how people treat each other. Really what's going on, what's what is correct knowledge or real knowledge versus other kinds of knowledge that are esteemed, when other knowledge is looked down upon, like experiential knowledge, for instance, may not be seen in the same light as somebody who's graduated from Yale and all those other things. And there's nothing wrong with that. And there's nothing wrong with going to Yale. There's nothing wrong with learning any way that you want to. But we do have a system in society where one is deemed a little bit better than the other, or recognized as more valuable as one or the other. And what is going on for you, which is extremely powerful and wonderful, is that you're figuring out that the way in which you have acquired knowledge, your experience of the knowledge, everything that you have for wisdom may not quite fit in to every single box that society has set aside for what we consider or deem quote unquote usable or highlighted or accepted. But you have a very unique way of being in the world, and the way in which you've had so many experiences and how you've worked with them and the knowledge and the wisdom that you've brought from it actually has a vast amount of knowledge for you, where you can literally live in the world and see everybody else's point of view, accept people at their own level where they're willing to meet you. It doesn't mean that you need to take on everybody else's energy and not have boundaries and say, all right, I accept what you're saying, but I don't need to be a part of that. And that's something that you've been working on, and that's something that you've been doing. But your real power really lies in the disruption of what we consider quote unquote the norm, which is now falling away anyway. But as it's crumbling away, there are people and there are systems that are either trying to milk the system that are falling away, or are really triggered by the fact that everything that they've believed in is crumbling around them. And this is perfectly fair enough. This is absolutely fair enough. It's uncomfortable. And we can have compassion for anybody going through that, because it's happened in your life. It's happened in our lives in many different ways. We may have dealt with it differently and gone within and try to figure it out instead of projecting and doing all sorts of other things. But everybody has the way that they want to react. It's an organic way. They have the right to it. We have no say in that. But what you're doing is that you're really disrupting the energy of what you've considered or even played into a little bit the norm. Now, you're definitely beat to your own drummer. You've definitely done things your own way. And you also have a clad iron will. When somebody tells you, this is a general reading, so if this part doesn't resonate with you, that's fine. But for those of you who have that clad iron will, if somebody tells you to do something and you know deep down you really should do it, it's not necessarily a bad thing to do, but they've told you to do it, you may have wanted to do exactly the opposite because somebody told you to do it, or you're going to do it on your own terms. You're going to tweak it and make it yours. So they can't really come back and say, oh, you did what I wanted you to do. You have an ironclad will. So you have this version of reality that you've lived within. And even though you've seen yourself as the sort of trailblazer, this trendsetter, you've known that, you have been limited in some ways, and you've had to play out in some ways, play the game just a little bit sometimes you've been willing to, and sometimes you haven't been, but it's always chipped away a little bit at for some of you, your self-confidence, but some of you at your will to want to live in this world one way or another, because it's not on your own terms, and you're not being obstinate about this. The way in which you want to live is in pure freedom. That's totally fine. Now, the world is changing, things are shifting. we're coming into this age of Aquarius now, the age of Aquarius. And, it seems a little hippy dippy in some ways, or a little woo woo, but it's actually happening, right? This is what people have been predicting and talking about for 20 years, but we can see the actuality of it. So now the divine timing is coming into your time and space, and you can see that you finally don't have to play that game anymore. And this is a thread that's been in both 1, 2, and now 3. All of the piles have significant difference. They really do. They're all very different energy. But for you, it's about, sometimes you played the game, and sometimes you were made to play the game, and sometimes you didn't necessarily believe in the game. You saw it for what it was, but you weren't able to move forward in the way that you wanted to because the game was still being played. Now with this divine timing, now with this interaction, and we're moving into this new way of being, you find yourself in this brand new timeline where your experience and whatever it is that you've been doing, you've been accumulating, all the knowledge you've been accumulating, you're finding that this is exactly the right knowledge that the world needs right now. And you've been accumulating it your entire life. Yeah, a little bit under the radar, a little bit this, sometimes a little bit in the limelight, sometimes not. But this is exactly what we need now. It's almost like you've been training for this your entire life. Now, the other stuff, it's not that it's unworthy, or, none of this applies anymore. My goodness, if you went to Yale, oh, how embarrassing. No, of course not. That will never happen. But a lot of what you've been through and a lot of your energy and a lot of what you've been working toward is now needed and being integrated, and it's absolutely building the foundation for us to move forward in the way that we need to. So you really are stepping out of the game. You're getting to disrupt everything that has been told to you one way or another, from society, from this, that, and the other, or just experience, that you can't fully be yourself. You can't fully do what you want to do, or the way that you want to do it, or the way that you want to achieve it, because that's not the way the world works. In fact, for some of you, you may have been told that that's not the way the world works. What are you talking about? Dreams don't come true, this, that, and the other. Now, dreams don't come true if you don't work on them and you don't actively work within. A lot of people take a lot of action. Nothing wrong with action. Masculine energy, best kind of energy out there. I love it. But unless you do something within, unless you learn to surrender and you work with that really, really deep, divine feminine energy that is inclusive and allows all of this to happen, you're only going to have varied results. So you get to disrupt, literally step out of everything that's happened before, and really get to utilize and energize all of the wisdom that you've had your entire life and you've been working towards when everybody was going, ha ha. Now, you're not the type of person to go, ha ha. You're not. You're really not. You might do it on the inside and say it to yourself. And there's nothing wrong with that. We're going to send a little Reiki too, because a little power there, not to say that the ha is okay, but the way in which people have projected upon you, the way in which you have been told certain things need to be done, and then to find out that you had it. Your intuition was right all along. You knew what you were doing. And those dark night of the souls, those dark nights that you had where you just laid awake in anxiety or in this like real deep depression going, I don't know what to do. There's no other way that I want to live. And I'm being told X, Y, and Z that I can't make what I want completely to happen. Now, only to find that it was divine timing and you're in this space now and this is your time to rise up the way that you want to. So this is a brilliant time for you to engage in that beautiful, innocent, brand new step. If we have the tarot here, I have no idea what's there, but if you got the Fool, that would be the perfect card for you. This brand new beginning, but they're not really starting from the beginning. You have that wisdom with you. You've carried it with you. This is the time to acclimate to it. This is the time to reason with it. This is the time to integrate it the way in which you want to. There's no more compromises anymore. Let's see what we have for you too. Ah, Nine of Cups, yes! And you have the Seven of Staves, the Nine of Cups, we have the Wish card. Whatever you want, literally, can come to you now. Absolutely. Working with your foundational energy, again, integrating all of the experiences on your own terms. Now, there's going to be a little bit of word of warning here. Now, I don't want to freak you out or anything, but I can tell you the energy is out there. It's actually already happened to me. And I always do my best not to project, but this is collectively what's going on, and it just happens to be, happening to me, but or it has happened. But it's people will project as you rise up, as you have your light, and as people who are still very much in touch either with the ego or with the way that attached to the way society was before. They will project because everything is crumbling. Now it is crumbling and it's very unreasonable and it must be heartbreaking. But they will project upon you as you rise in your power. Now there's nothing wrong with any of that. They're not bad people. They're not terrible. As we project, we do understand that there's some kind of truth in it for them. Normally what we do is, why are we being triggered? Why are we projecting? Why do we want to project? We're being triggered. There's something in me. What can I learn from it? Not everybody takes the time to do that, and they keep going. Sometimes when people are deathly afraid, it's, and living in fear and still very wrapped up in the ego, it's very, very easy to project upon something external because that's where your energy is. And then if you can control that, it makes things a little bit more peaceful for you, can be controlled. Unfortunately, everything is out of our control anyway, but it really feels like it now. So we have to have a lot of compassion now for people who are rising up and projecting. And just to remind you, please, please, please remember to stand in your own power. It is not about you. It's not about you. It's never been about you. The triggering is not about you. It's got nothing to do with you. So as you rise up, as you stand in your own power, keep doing what you're doing. Keep integrating the knowledge of who it is that you have, this lifetime of experience. Keep being who you are. And if there are a few that comes out, or there's an energy that comes out every now and again, send compassion and love to them. You don't need to engage in the energy. Just let it happen. There's a lot of that sort of rising up and holding space for people who are in fear. That's the best thing that we can do, and in that, maybe we can create that sort of loving compassion and sending that energy out. Maybe we can create just a little bit of space for them to want to look within, because we all get triggered, right? We all get triggered. The difference between projecting that and going further with it is just wanting to blame on the external versus doing the inner work. If we do the inner work, of course we come out on top, because we figure out how we can move forward. We integrate that energy that's outside of ourselves. If we keep projecting outwards, it just goes round in this circle. So if we create this space of compassion as we send this energy out there, maybe there is enough of that space. Just clear the air just a little bit. Again, you don't need to engage with anybody or anything, any situation, but you can just send it out into the world, and just that little extra energy might give them a little bit of space to go and do that inner work. And that inner work can be really, really, really rewarding if you have the courage to be able to do it. So as you rise in the light, some of this stuff might come up. That's okay. Again, don't get involved in it. Absolutely not personal. Send out love and light. You can use, we are the Unicorn Light Tarot here. You can just, cut boundaries, do your boundaries, whatever you need to do. Boundaries are always very important. You don't need to be involved in the energy, but you can go ahead and work with your unicorn and just send out some loving light, because really anybody who projects or anybody who does that is triggered like that. They really need that light and love. So that's what we can do. So, and that's just, it's not a warning. It's not anything. It's, no freaky outy, no nothing like that. You're doing great. You're doing well. We're just saying, as you rise in this energy, it often attracts the stuff that's coming in, and it's in the collective right now. So if it does, please just remember to stay grounded in your energy. And if anything, it's a reminder to keep doing what you're doing and increase what you're doing. Increase the light, because it's obviously working. And please, please, please never get involved in the projection. Never take it personally. but do your very, very best to send out light and love to that person, not in a woo-woo way, but in a really, really dramatic and grounded way, because that person needs it more than you'll ever know. Absolutely. So as you rise in the light, just have boundaries and ignore the darkness that's coming in. Remember, there's a lot of disruption in the world, and a lot of people really felt the identity with the ego, really felt the identity with all of this stuff, the patriarchy, all of this stuff that's crumbling. And we all know what it's like to have our world crumble one way or another. We've all had to look at the patriarchy and how it's influenced us and our egos and all of this. We all know that, if we live in the light, we try to live in the light. We've done this healing work. It's messy as hell. It's embarrassing. It's nasty. We've all been there. We can all have compassion for anybody who's trying to do whatever they can, but at the time they're lashing out. We can totally understand that. We can hold space for those people. But it does mean that you stand more in your light. Keep doing what you're doing. So if any of that energy comes up, increase it. Increase your light. Increase where you are. Don't get involved. And we're just going to send that extra power and love to you, sending it back and just giving you that extra ground, and know that you are absolutely supported and loved. We're also going to bring in the unicorns now with all of this collective energy that's coming in, with things that are falling away, and energy for people who are looking for a scapegoat, something to concentrate on, to deem as evil or as wrong. So it all comes out of fear, because we want to blame something so we can control it, and we know, and then we can fight it, right? Totally understandable. So we're going to send some unicorn energy onto that, and just hold space for everybody who's going through it. It's just, I've been in a situation many times where everything has fallen apart, everything I knew to be quote unquote untrue or true, it ended up being untrue, and I was going through it. But while I went through it, it felt like hell. So much love and light. So keep doing what you're doing no matter what. This energy is beautiful that you have. Everything that you have and the power that you have is absolutely gorgeous. Stay the path, absolutely. And you have the energy now, you have the wisdom to know that what you've been through has been integrated in a way that you can hold the light no matter what. You're no longer really giving out your light, whereas before what you did is that as a lighthouse you actually gave out your light, and what that did, it diminished your light a little bit as you gave the light. You wanted everybody to be okay, so much so that you gave so much of your energy, it depleted you. Now you realize that you're standing in the beauty of who you are. All of your light shines in who you are, and that's how you help everybody without having to physically give something up from yourself. So as these things come up, and if the projection should come up at any point, it'll be easy feat for you. It never feels nice initially, but then you realize where it's coming from. It's ego based, totally understandable. We're all human. We all elected to be human on this earth. We all have an ego. Come on, we do. There's very few of us who are actually enlightened and have surpassed the ego. We're working toward it. It's a lifetime thing. We all F up here and there. We get it, So stand in that beautiful energy. But as you're doing this, you no longer have to fight. You no longer have to fight to be seen. You no longer have to take any of that energy on, take it personally. You absolutely can see through it. As I think we mentioned in the second pile, the matrix. Again, not crazy about that word, but people are familiar with it and they know what it is. Seeing through to the greater side of it. Where is it really coming from? The matrix. Seeing through the grasp of it, how much of a hold it has on people and what it does when it's crumbling. So this would be easy for you, whereas before, wanted to be seen, even fighting to be seen sometimes in different ways. Or if you're not fighting to be seen, or say, oh, I'm out of here, there's a disappointment in not being seen. Now you realize that that's all sort of dissipated, and you stand in your own beauty, and you really understand that this is what the world needs. This is your time. This is your wish card. Now, you've been working on a lot of stuff, probably since birth. So it's not, if you're resonating with this reading pile 3, you absolutely know what you want to achieve for the most of you. Now, for those of you who might be a little bit on the sidelines, trust me, you've been working on something. You absolutely know what it is. Now, you may not be physically have been working on it, but in many ways, you've been planting those seeds, and you've been working on sowing them. You've been working on, you've already planted them. You've been working on watering them. There's stuff that you've been doing, maybe quote unquote, sort of behind the scenes, not in an active manner. But there's one thing that you've realized here in the way that energy works. You can really tangibly get your heart around it now, that action does nothing if you're not in alignment. So a lot of what you've been doing behind the scenes now was in alignment with who you are. So now this divine timing has come into you. It's absolutely gorgeous, right? You have it. So it seems like a new beginning, but the energy and how you're reacting and how you're motivating yourself and how flexible you are, and the freedom, the newfound freedom that you have, and how you're integrating that and moving forward in the world. Yes, that's new. Technically, that's a new beginning. But what you've wanted before and what you've been tending to, that garden's coming to fruition. It's absolutely going to happen. And it's going to be gorgeous. There's not much for you to do. Stay on the path and don't come off the path. Like we've said, if any other energy comes in that wants to be disruptive, see it for what it is. It's trying to get energy. It's trying to get your energy. It's trying to get attention. But really, it just wants to be seen. It wants to be understood. You can understand it by giving it love. Don't take on any of this external energy from this world that you've already been disrupted, you've already walked out of. Don't take on any of that energy anymore. Not necessary. Music, absolutely. That's one thing that can bring you back. There's many other things too. There's a lot of sort of this looking back for some of you. Again, general reading. If this resonates with you, great. If it doesn't, maybe this could give you a little bit of help. But for some of you, you're sort of going back to childhood things. And normally we say, do you really need to go back? But for you, this is wonderful, because you're remembering things. You're bringing into your memory and your consciousness of these times when, childhood things, and going back to things that made you happy before, depending on your age, when you were a teenager, maybe you're a teenager now, memories that you had before, things that were really, really, that meant something to you, that really sort of had a landmark for you at that time. You're revisiting them. And some of them might even be coming back into fashion now, so they might be in and around you, whether you're actively looking for them or not. Now, this is the way in which you're looking back is a beautiful way, because you're actually remembering your life differently. You're remembering it, and you're looking back, and you're gazing at, reflecting upon it with this new understanding of who you are. So it's absolutely wonderful for you to go back to listen to old music that you need to listen to, that you used to listen to, or old movies and this, that, and the other. Get into that reflective period. All of that will suit you now. It'll help you solidify everything that you've experienced, and solidify that experience even more as you work it in to a real conscious, subconscious, and then conscious level. Integrate it, and then it becomes part of your psyche, becomes who you are. And then, for want of a better word, or want of a better saying, you can't be touched anymore. Physically, obviously you should be. Everybody needs touch, but you know what I mean. You can't be touched by anything that won't move you anymore. You can't be, whereas before when somebody hurt you, it really rocked your world. That's totally understandable. As a humanist as you are, when people were cruel to each other, it hurt you in a way that physically hurt. It actually could have really ended up in your body. That's another thing that could be happening. All of that other stuff. If there's stuff in your body too that could be easing up and moving through, you now have the power to really go in and heal at a cellular level now, because you're no longer attached to that world. You're no longer attached to any of those boxes that you were in before. So experiment with that. Experiment with how your power is now, how your focus is now, how you're healing your body and moving things out of your body. And again, we want to remind you that while you're healing, there's nothing wrong with you. If anything has come up in your body, it's just something of an awareness, pure self-acceptance, accepting it for what it is and thanking it for being there. It sounds a little naff, but that's the way that we truly heal, by saying, all right, there's something wrong with us. We're saying that we're not whole, something needs to be healed, something on the external, it leads us to this whole thing where, we have to become whole. We're already whole. Whatever's coming up in your system right now is just, it's old energy. You're already whole. All you need to do is work with that energy to release it, but you're already whole. So even the energy behind healing, just, you're coming up with your own terms now. You're coming up with your own ideology. You've got this. You don't need us to tell you anything. You've already worked with this, your experience with it. And this is what you'll be standing for in this lifetime. This is what you will be. Stand strong in that. Do the reflective stuff, and really allow yourself to go back, and now that you're not part of, you've shed a lot of this darkness that you had when, before you stepped out of this world and into your own world here, which is absolutely wonderful and completely viable and doable now. Now you get to look upon your old and say, oh yeah, no, that was still really messed up, to be honest with you. But I get why that happened. I get why that happened. And we always need to be very careful of that, because we don't want to say that, you attracted that, or it was okay for somebody to treat you like that. We never say that, or just get over it and get the lesson. No, absolutely not. Get rageful. Do whatever you need to do. You have absolutely every right to your emotion. This sort of love and light thing, everything will be okay. It's bullshit. It's absolutely bullshit, and this is what you're learning. You're bringing in all of this stuff and realizing what it is. It even says in the Bible sometimes there's a time to fight. It's whatever it is that you want to do. And again, your experience and where you're coming from is absolutely perfect. You've got this. You have your own version of this, and it absolutely fits in what we're going. Yes, it's better not to fight against things. It's better to bring in what it is, the experience of it and the wisdom of it. Absolutely. But that's what you're doing. Now you're looking back on it. You actually get to look at it from a reflective period of your life, from a reflective, objective view, and go, oh, I get it now. It's still messed up. It's still messed up. I'll make sure that never happens again. And that wasn't okay. But this is what I can take from it. Legitimately, I can take this from it. And I am glad for the lesson. And I'm going to make sure that never happens again. And you can make sure you can work with people so it doesn't happen to other people. The wisdom that you have and the way in which you articulate yourself really hits home with people who are working outside of the system as you are, and these people will be drawn to you. That's why you hold your light no matter what. And in this time, you will be able to help others just by being yourself. We're going to send you, I want to send one more power symbol here for you too, for all of that stuff. Absolutely. And we always do want to say, obviously, healing is not easy, and whatever you want to, we already said the word healing is redundant, but getting yourself together, releasing what no longer serves can be a difficult path, and there's no one way of doing it. There's no one way of doing it. Anybody who tells you there's only one way, just take it for what it is. There's one way for them. That's great. It doesn't have to be for you. But you're bringing in all of the ways together and showing you're almost like a mirror, showing all the different ways that anything can be achieved. You are the epitome of living spherically and not in a linear fashion. Even time isn't linear. It's man-made, right? So and we're learning that now. We're getting that now, working in other realms, bringing them in. We're seeing these timelines change. Otherwise, the world wouldn't be so crazy. We wouldn't be able to get to this time with so many different timelines, so many different things happening in such a small amount of time. So we're coming into a very powerful time, the end of this year, coming into the beginning of next year, the age of Aquarius here. So this is your time to stand as a reflection for everything else. Now, again, the reflection, when people look in, they may not like what they see. Again, that's okay. But for others who are like-minded, who are living spherically, who have a very integral part of knowledge that wasn't seen or deemed as important in the way that we lived before, you will hold a light for them, and for the reflection to know that there are many different ways to be. There are many different ways to know. There are many different ways to hold the light. You'll be reflective of that power, and it's a very powerful way to be. And in that, you can work with that energy for manifestation. You can work in that energy for abundance. Work in that energy, keep your levels up of frequency and joy. Again, don't get involved in anybody else's energy. If you feel like it's any kind of darkness, you can feel it in your body. Your heart will tell you, this person's working on a lower frequency. That's okay. raise the frequency by sending them love and cut the ties, cut the cords. So let's do a little bit more with the Enchanted Oracle here, Pile 3. This is a very exciting time for you. For moving forward, you've already set down whatever it is that you want. And anybody who's listening to this and resonating, for the rules that you set up for yourself, throw all those rules out that you had to have for yourself before. This is a no rule kind of, this is living outside of the box. This is just you being you. And being that reflection. But we want to be really, really adamant about how powerful that is to be a reflection in this world and standing in that power and grounding in that power. This is not a small thing. This is not an inactive power. This is an extremely active power that you have. So don't get the impression that it's inactive. It's extremely powerful. It holds a lot of responsibility, and you have that responsibility with you now. You can honor that responsibility. 1,000 deeper understanding, absolutely. Deeper understanding, particularly, as we said, as you have the organic purpose of looking back with that objectivity over your life and being able to see sort of new trains of thought. That's why that happened. Oh, shit. Okay, now I get it. Yeah, all right. Again, doesn't excuse people that did not treat you right. Never excuses that. But fly trap, getting stuck in sticky situations. Now, we did say this before, and we didn't want to trip you out, but it's even coming up in the cards. So as you hold your light, it might come up. It might come up. The sticky situations will come. Will try to be thrown at you, or try to. Again, it's not a sticky situation if you don't lend your energy to it. Again, it's not a big deal. So we're not going to spend any more time on it. We've already explained what to do. You're already doing it. Hold that light. So we're going to pull one more for you because we already talked about that. And yeah, and you only get stuck in those sticky situations if you allow yourself to get stuck in them. And there's no reason for you. Your energy won't even want to be there. It's almost like it wants to stick, but it just doesn't. So it's fine. Don't worry about it. Okay, and that's it. Look at this. Transform your light. Number 26. Transform your life. And transform, your light. You'll do that by holding in the light and holding out the light and expanding the light. Transform your life. That's exactly what you're doing. We've given you practical advice, support. You already know this. You've got this, Pile 3. You've absolutely got this. This is not your first rodeo. You've been working outside of the system for many, many lifetimes now. You're very aware of this, and you've been working in this life system. We want to remind you that you agreed to come down in this lifetime to be able to do this work. You are well able for this work. You are strong enough for this work. This is your time to step into your own power. The timelines are ready for you. This is divine timing. Hold your light, stand in that, just allow for that reflection, and know that all of your experiential information is now uploading, downloading, uploading, integrating, and transforming your DNA as we speak. And the road forward and the path forward will become entirely obvious because you've been working toward whatever it is, and you know what it is, whether it's specific or an ideal, one way or another, it's about to come into fruition. So hold on to your pants. That sounded weird. Hold on to your socks. I don't even think either one of those are saying, but if they are, that's it. Hold on to your socks. Hold on to your hats. That's it. I knew it was something. I knew it was some kind of clothing. Hold on to your hats. It's about to come to fruition. So hold that light no matter what. You are loved. And remember, pull in that unicorn energy to make everything pure and beautiful, and just say, I don't want to deal with this energy. The unicorns will come right in. They're angelic beings. They will just put over that beautiful light. Use the horn for magic. It's a wand. Let them take it over whenever this energy comes up. Don't get into that sticky situation. Concentrate on that transformation. You've been in situations before where people have tried to hold you down. You know this is not your time. Not going to happen now. Never going to happen. That is over. So I hope this resonated with you, Pile 3, with our Avalon beauties here. And we sent you some support and love, and hopefully some practical information there. If it did, feel free to give me a thumbs up. Let me know in the comments below. Love hearing from you, of course. And don't forget to join our little family here at Unicorn Light Tarot and hit that bell button, that subscribe button, and that bell button if you haven't already. We are getting together probably with Avalon, but sometimes you set up and you think you're going one way, and then the angels come in, or you guys come in, or a Hecate comes in, whoever comes in that you're working with says, actually we're working with you today. But whoever light, whatever light we'll be working with next week, we will definitely be doing a cleansing of the period of 2020 and a healing and abundance, setting us up for a little candle magic for 2021, bringing in all that abundance and beauty and clearing the way. So stay tuned for that. If you hit the bell icon, you'll be notified. That will be coming in just before 2021. Cannot believe that is happening. And don't forget that we just uploaded some more meditations for you. The rest of the meditations are coming out at the beginning of next week. So that will be the heart chakra, the third eye, and the crown chakra. But all the other chakras, including the Earth Star chakra, very important chakra to work with. Meditations are all there for you, completely free. And we have, I pulled one of my Intuition and the Oracle 5-day course completely free for you. The idea is to get out as much information and healing and support for you at the end of 2020, so we can clear everything and move into 2021 with this kick-ass attitude and get going. So it's all available for you. Links are down below. And of course we have the Unicorn School of Light too. I think there's currently two courses on there. One of them is free, so you can check that out too. Many different ways to stay and be with us in this energy and get the support and love and understanding that you need. Sending so much love and light to you, Pal 3. You are the best. Hold your light. You've got this. You've absolutely got this. Until we meet again. Bye-bye.